All right, what's up, hockey fans and hockey fanatics out there? Welcome to the Hockey Lounge. 2022, we are back. It's been a little while. COVID, Christmas, New Year's, Apple working 24 hours a day, supposedly breaking his back, breaking his balls, doing all those things. But we are back. We decided to get back for 2022. There's a lot happening in the NHL. We wanted to get back at it, have some fun with it, have some hockey talk. Big weekend in the NFL. Go Pack, Packer Nation tonight, 8:15 against the Niners. We are wearing our colors. App 2022. What's going on, bud?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. A few weeks in for sure. So, a couple of months we haven't talked hockey here. We've been texting back and forth. A lot of changes in the NHL. We were just laughing before we went live here in regards to where we're at, with our picks that we had before the regular season started. And man, I don't know if we needed to get into another sport.
If anybody listened to us, Vegas is making a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. Tipu's watching. He's back in the lounge. He asked for a red carpet today to get the Hockey Lounge going. Teeps, thanks for watching. Jeez, he's already starting the blast right now. Tipu's back here. Thought Apple would have hair by now. No, man. Listen.
Have you watched any Devils games? I've lost the 3 feathers I had left. Done.
Awesome. I got the whites, I guess, from all this lockdown and COVID and all this nonsense. Starting the season with the boys, my minor hockey team, stopping the season, starting. It's been a long journey for them. We had some calls today. It was great to see the boys on a virtual calls. Can't wait to get back at it as of January 31st, get some practices in, get some games in. So boys, get ready, get into shape. We talked about it today. Looking forward to seeing you all very, very soon. The NHL, COVID, injuries, teams that are definitely up. Teams we thought would, have good seasons. Teams we thought would struggle. A lot of different things in the NHL right now. Up. Let's start off with COVID and injuries and how they've plagued some of the teams out there.
Yeah, it's without getting into specifics. I mean, just to be a coach or a GM of a team right now is a disaster. You don't know who's going to be in next game and who's not going to be in next game, even of the day of the game. It's just very difficult right now. Like I don't even know how to describe. Like you see some teams get decimated. You see Ottawa. We were talking about it off air. Right. Ottawa went a couple of weeks without playing. The Islanders went a couple of weeks without playing. Like it must be very difficult for these guys to manage.
Yeah, for sure. It's you know what? You have guys coming in out of the lineup. You have guys in COVID protocol day of. Even supposedly a few minutes before game time, these guys are being taken out of the lineup. They're in warm-up, and they've been taken out of the lineup, and everything gets mixed up, and you're like, what is happening here? Goalies who are starting out of the lineup. So, again, I think it's been a big, big struggle right now in terms of getting that full lineup. We've seen teams just be decimated by injuries and COVID, and where they are in the standings is the result of this, which is crazy. Now, some of the teams have flourished with other guys picking up the slack, other guys, playing well in the pipes, scoring goals, guys that were not expected to score this many goals or be where they're at today. Some rookie guys coming in and taking big minutes. So it's been definitely an adventure in all the major sports leagues right now. I said to you before we got on here, I think the NFL has handled it the best. I think the worst league would probably be the NBA, NHL in mid-pack. So, But let's get right to it here. The East per se up. You know, looking at some of the dogs and some of the surprises for this year. I put a little bit of a list together here on my dogs and surprises. But who would really stand out to you in terms of who's been the biggest disappointment in the East?
Biggest disappointment in my mind. Yeah. I had high hopes for the Flyers.
Okay.
I thought the Flyers would be better than they are. I'm not saying that they were going to be like the top team, but I mean the Flyers are just and the Habs obviously. The Flyers
Right.
The Flyers look like they switched to Mike Yeo and they still don't look like they give a shit about playing for him either. But for me, it would be in the East would be the Flyers and the Habs are the biggest. Like the Habs by miles.
Right.
Like I think the Habs are they last? Yeah, they're last in the entire league.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, they're the biggest one, followed closely by the Flyers. For me,
Right. There was so much expectation from the Habs coming into this year with them reaching the Stanley Cup Finals last year against Tampa. I think things went south right away. In my opinion, as soon as Carey Price announced that he was going into NHL rehab, unfortunately for him, I think that was the beginning of the end for that particular team. I think, another thing was Mark Bergevin not being, re-signed before the season. That was suspect to me. We had talked about that, right? Weber out, injured. So many things with the Habs were so unsettled when we began the season this year that things looked like they were down, like trending downward from then. The Flyers, we talked about it. We talked about all the additions to the back end, Alice, Ruotsalainen, some of the young players coming into play, and all of a sudden they exploded in terms of Vigneault's gone, Yeo gets the team. They are a team, and I was just talking to a Flyer fan now via text. They are a team that is in shambles. Yeah. They are losing right now to the last time I saw they were losing 5-2 to the Buffalo Sabres.
It was 6 last time I saw.
6-2. What is going on in Flyerland? By all means, I'm a Penguins fan. I love it. It couldn't have happened to a better team, to be honest with you, a better franchise. But then you have like Bobby Clark saying, taking a rip at Ron Hextall for not picking Cal McCarr, and he took what's his name? Nolan Patrick. He came out with that the other day. Like just nonsense stuff that's happening in Flyerland. Mike Yeo looks like he's a mess behind the bench. He looked like he saw a ghost today. Claude Giroux doesn't look interested. I really think it's time to blow that team up.
Yep, I agree,
right?
100%.
Go with the youth. And I really think one of the biggest things is with the Flyers, and by all means, I don't want to help them, but they need to bring guys in that have won. Like in terms of general manager, in terms of coaching staff, you have Mike Yeo, you had Michel Therrien, you had Alain Vigneault, right? I don't think any of those guys, except for Yeo, which was part of the coaching staff in Pittsburgh when they won in 2009, had a Stanley Cup ring, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, Flyerland looks like it's a mess and it's going to blow up there. I'm sure they're going to be making some changes at the deadline. Your team, the New Jersey Devils, up.
What am I going to say? To me, I was thinking that they were going to be on the edge of playoff land and maybe battling there, but like we're talking before, there's the injuries and the COVID. I think we've used 5 or 6 goalies already this season. I don't think there's a player on that team that's played every game yet. Heischer's been out. Hughes was out for an extended period of time. It's tough. It's a tough league to win when you have everybody, let alone when you're missing 2 or 3 of your top guys. You got problems.
Right. So, we talked about the Devils offline. I'm really thinking like where this starts is that, back end goaltending has to get solidified. I really like the front end. You got some youth. Jack Hughes is going to be a stud. Mercer, a lot of good guys up there. I really enjoy watching the forwards play. I think they're an exciting team to watch. The back end, Hamilton's out. But, we talked about this too, the coaching change of Lindy Ruff. I think he's a coach that he's a very good coach, but I think he's a coach that with a team that's on the verge of contending for a Stanley Cup, not a younger team. They're very similar to the Flyers in terms of what they have up front in terms of youth, guys that can put the puck in the net, guys that have hockey IQ. You have Farabee, you have Frost with the Flyers. Like, number of good things that are happening with these franchises. It's just who's at the helm, right?
Yep.
You know, Fitzpatrick, I'm on board with. I think he's a good hockey guy, but it's behind the bench, and you know, Tockett's out there. He's working on TNT. Nobody's grabbed him. You know, Philadelphia Flyer, Penguin won a cup in Pittsburgh. You know, he's won. So I don't know. I think you're going to see a coaching turnover once the season's done in those two franchises.
Yeah.
You know, we had picked the Islanders. The Islanders to win the East.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
What happened there?
If I knew the answer, Lou would have known the answer before I would know the answer. Right. Again, like they've got to get hot to get a chance. Like we were talking off air, of any of the teams that are sitting outside the top 8 right now,
right?
I think they're the team that can put a run together, but they can't wait. Like there's no room for error there. What are they sitting? They're at 34 points. They're sitting a good 14 points easy out of the playoffs.
33 games played. So you know what? You know, you look at, you know, teams that are at 41, 37, 40, you know, they do have games in hand, 7-8 games in hand.
Yeah.
Right. Like you said, they got to go on a run. I do think, you know, they started on the road on that long road trip because the rink wasn't built yet, whatnot. Again, you know, Trotz is in and out of the lineup. I will say this. I have this feeling, though, that I think Trotzy might be gone after this year. I'm not too sure why. He's got some personal reasons. He's been in and out of the lineup as the coach. Maybe, you know, maybe Lou goes in a different direction. Maybe it's a one-off this year. Not sure. But again, if you look at that Eastern Conference right now, if you look at the Atlantic, you have the Panthers at first with 61 points. You have the Tampa Bay Lightning at 59. You have the Leafs at 51 in the Atlantic.
Yep.
Any surprises there?
No. The entire division, I think Detroit, the fact that Detroit is where they are for me is a surprise. But those top 3, even the top 4 with Boston, I don't think there's Montreal struggled, but like you said in our preseason, I think we both had them out of the playoffs. I know I did. I'm not sure if you did, but I had them out of the playoffs. I had them in the
playoffs as a wild card team.
See, so you had them on the fringe. But other than that, I think these top 4 are the 4 that I had. So I'm not surprised by anything at the top of the Atlantic.
Right. So I think the biggest surprises for me, if you look at the East right now, would be New York Rangers, big time. The Pittsburgh Penguins, big time. I'm going to dive into a couple of those teams with you in terms of the New York Rangers. The biggest thing they got was Gerard Gallant behind the bench. This guy now doesn't have a cup, but any team he coaches in the regular season, they make the playoffs. Yep. Bottom line, this is his. Like, the guy's a good coach.
Yep.
With what the Rangers have, and believe me, I'm not a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of the goaltending in New York with Shesterkin and Gorgiev there. Yeah, Gorgiev. But man, you know, their goal Shesterkin has been fantastic. You know, they look like they're on the rise. Adam Fox is not having a sophomore year here. He's playing really well. You know, the forwards are playing fast, heavy hockey. Lafreniere seems to be like, you know what, getting his gear on. I've watched a number of games. He looks like he's becoming that NHL player that everybody thought he would. He doesn't razzle and dazzle you, but he's a player. He's a really good player. So they're a big surprise, and I'm waiting for them to fall, but they haven't.
Going back to your point about the Devils and the Flyers, about coaching, how important coaching is.
Yeah.
The Rangers team is basically the same. What do they pick up? They pick up Barclay Goodrow, and that's basically it.
Mm-hmm.
And look at where they are. You get a good coach back there. You get a good system in there, but get everybody to buy in, and look at what it does for you.
Right. And for the most part, the Rangers have been healthy too. And that helps as well this year, right, with the COVID season again.
Yeah.
but really interesting to see the Rangers stay steady. The Toronto Maple Leafs. Of course, we're out of TO, and we hear a lot about the Toronto Maple Leafs app. What are your thoughts on where they're going to go here?
My opinion hasn't changed on them. I still
Yeah.
don't think the defense is good enough
Yeah,
to get them through the playoffs. Like you see it in all these leads that they're blowing in their games. They're still a very talented team. They're about where I thought they'd be.
Mhm.
They're a great regular season team, but they're going to have to prove, I don't think just to us, but I think everybody in the city, that they can get over that hump of the playoffs.
yeah,
And like I said, to be honest, right, like I'm hearing that the Leafs are possibly in on Klingberg.
right.
And there's talk about Subban coming to Toronto. So it sounds like they know that they have a defensive issue. Subban's not the solution.
But this is what I'm saying. But are those two defensemen the solution?
No.
Like Klingberg, I like, but he's an offensive defenseman.
Yeah. No, I agree with
Right.
you. To me, it just shows that they think that they need to improve their D, but they're going to go about it the wrong way if they're going after those two guys.
Yeah.
I think we discussed it in the preseason about losing Bogosian. The
Mhm.
guy's not a flashy player or anything like that, but he's a steady, stay-at-home defenseman, and the Leafs don't have enough of that.
Yeah.
These leads that they're blowing, it's a bad sign. It's just a bad sign.
Yeah, it's number one, I got to say that in our preseason picks, I did have the Leafs, of course, challenging for the Atlantic Division. The question mark for me was Soupy Campbell. Was Soupy Campbell going to be able to come back, play, be a number one goalie, and he's showed all the critics he can. He's played well.
He's played unbelievable.
Exactly. So good on Campbell that he's shown that he can be a number one. Now, I go back to a couple of things. I agree with you when it comes down to the defensive part of the game for the Leafs in terms of their D, but also playing in their zone and their D zone still, and you can see it now against the Rangers, their road trip against St. Louis, Colorado. They blew a number of leads recently, 2-3 goals.
Yeah.
I am still a believer in this. Is that I honestly believe the Toronto Maple Leafs are a great regular season team, but do not have the nuts and bolts to win in the playoffs. I still think their leadership core of Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, I still think Matthews needs to grow a set of balls, to be honest with you. Show that he wants to compete, show that he wants to be in there. He's a great goal scorer. But there are times where I see if there's 3 or 4 guys going at it after the whistle, I never see Matthews put a glove into a guy's face or say, hey, you know what? I'm here, buddy. You know what? I'm going to be a leader. If you want to go after Marner, you have to go through me.
Yep.
You see that? I don't see that.
I agree with you 100%. The grit's not there.
Right.
It's just not there. The grit's not there.
Right.
And then
go ahead.
And then when they got these teams like Boston, who they always seem to run into and start putting gloves in faces and start shoving them around, they turtle. They just go into the fetal position and give up.
Exactly.
And until they address that, they're in trouble.
They're right. So
if Campbell wasn't as good as he was, look at the standings now. And if Campbell wasn't as good as he was, where would they be?
Right.
He's got them a lot of points. He's played well.
And I just don't get that you have the president of hockey operations for the Toronto Maple Leafs that played a sandpaper game in Brendan Shanahan, and his team is not constructed to win in the playoffs. Tampa Bay, yes, they have some finesse players, they have some skilled players, but they also still they've added some grit. The Corey Perrys of the world, they have the Josephs of the world, Cirelli. These guys can, you know what? If somebody puts a glove in their face, if somebody sticks them, they're going to be sticking them back.
Yep.
The Leafs are still not at that point where they can do that. Simmons, how much of a role has he played with the Leafs this year? Nothing. Clifford, they brought this guy in, right? Mikheyev now, he's the next coming of Pavel Bure, right? Like, to me, the Leafs, and we're going to get to the Penguins too in a second here, but to me, the Leafs are a team that are destined because they're either going to play Florida or Tampa. They'll be out first round again.
Yeah.
That's if I'm putting money on.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yep. I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you 100%.
So,
and if you and I are seeing this,
Yeah.
You think the coaches and the GMs on the team that are playing the Leafs aren't seeing this?
Right.
Before game one of the playoffs, okay, guys, just smash. Just go out there and smash them, and it'll be an easy series. They know that. They're not stupid.
Right. 100%. Because you know that the Leafs will get frustrated by that. You will know that, guys are going to be getting frustrated. Like you said, they'll curl into the fetus position, and that will be it. And it to me, if you're a Leaf fan, I'm questioning what's happening here again, because you even have Sheldon Keefe calling out their team again.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
To me, that's a bad sign. So moving on to the Pittsburgh Penguins, my team. I was very, very critical of them with the moves they made. I was not sure about Mike Sullivan coming back, Tristan Jarry. But I will tell you this, I am still up in the air because, again, I get to watch most of the Penguin games, if not every game. And I compare them to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are a great regular season team up. But when sticks come out, glove washes come out, teams play the same way they do, speed, hit, the results are not good.
Yeah, I'm very surprised where the Penguins are. I picked them bottom 3 in the division. And yeah, you're right. I've watched a bunch of their games as well, and they're playing a great brand of hockey. But like you're saying, it's a lot of wide open hockey, and yeah, I don't know if they've got the grit either. Like the talent's there, the same as the Leafs. You got Malkin, you got Crosby, you got Letang. All these guys, Rust and Dumoulin, are playing well, and Jarry's playing. I've never seen Jarry play this well in my life, but you're right. When it comes to playoff time, we all know it's a whole different animal. If you've got no sandpaper in your game, you're in trouble.
Right. And you look at, who the Penguins could be playing. It could be the Caps. It could be the Rangers. If they get into the wild card position, they might be playing the Panthers or the Rangers or whoever it is, Tampa Bay. Like this, if I'm building a team right now, I'm definitely looking at my bottom 6. And with Jarry too, will he be the goalie he is now when the pressure tightens up in the playoffs, that every save counts? I'm not sure. They've been blowing leads too, but they've been winning the games.
Yeah.
Like Ottawa, they had a 5-1 lead the other night going into the third. They gave up 3. It was 5-4. We got the empty netter. They've been blowing leads as well. So to me is, if you can play a playoff brand of hockey somewhat now in some capacity, not every night because that's tough, you have the recipe to succeed in the playoffs. But for me, I like to say the Harlem Globetrotters of hockey are the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Great regular season team. By all means, they're all having good years. Matthews, Jarry, Getzel, Sid, Rodriguez has like 15 goals. But when it comes to playoffs,
different ball game.
Different ball game. So, final thought about the Caps, because I know that, I didn't have them either. Older team, not sure on their goaltending, but Ovechkin up.
Yeah, I keep waiting for him to slow down, and that was the reason I said he's going to slow down. The Caps are a little older. Again, I had them, I think, 7th in the division in the Metro, and it's just Ovi, and that's the kind of player we're talking about. That if Matthews had his grit and his determination and his balls, different ball game. Like Ovi's just carrying that team. It's incredible at his age to keep doing what he's doing. I don't know how they're going to win in the playoffs either, if they can keep this up, because they're going to need Ovi's goals instead of him concentrating a lot on the rough stuff, because he's going to get in your face in the playoffs. He's going to get in your face, and he's going to get people in his face. So I don't know how that's going to work either. But I mean, again, I'm surprised. Pittsburgh and Washington, to me, are the biggest surprises in the conference.
Yeah, and you know what? With Ovi just chasing Gretzky's record here, I honestly think he's going to do it. Yeah. This guy doesn't seem to be slowing down. He's doing it without Nick Backstrom. Backstrom's been in and out of the lineup, hurt, IR, COVID. Yeah, they're just finding ways. Am I sold on their goaltending? No, right? But they're finding ways to win. The only thing I can say, even TJ Oshie in and out of the lineup, the only thing I would say about the Caps, Apple, if they can play a rough style of hockey because they have the leadership of Tom Wilson, Ovechkin. Like you said, if Matthews just took a little bit of the book from Ovechkin, it's a different story.
Yeah.
right? Different
Yep.
story. But yeah, the Caps, Rangers, Penguins, big surprises for me in the East. All right, moving on to the West here. The West. I got one surprise that, like, I don't know, man. Like, I never saw this coming, but
I
like,
know who.
who is it? Who is it?
Nashville?
Yeah, man. Like, what is going on, man? It's the Bizarro world this year in the West,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They're sitting, 4 points? Colorado's got games in hand, but they're sitting 4 points at a top spot in the conference.
Yep.
Wow.
4 points. 4 points. They're doing it on, Saros is back, which I think the guy couldn't even play in our ball hockey league, that guy. He's small. There's room upstairs all day.
Yep.
I don't know how they're winning with this guy in the net. He is not a number one in my eyes, but, and they have the coach, your old coach.
Yep. John Hines.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about Saros. He's what, 924 save percentage, 2.4 goals against average. He's playing out of this world.
Yeah.
They went and picked up a Riddick for as a backup. Big save Dave there, and he's only played 7 games.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Duchesne's having a comeback year, right?
Yeah. He's unbelievable. He's got 35 points even.
Yeah.
But Yossi's at 42 points.
Roman Josi, most underrated defenseman in the NHL.
I
This
agree,
guy's
hands
a
down.
beauty. He is a beauty.
Yep.
I've been watching some Nashville games because I want to see what they're all about. And I think I watched the last 3 games of theirs. And this guy, I always liked Roman Josi, but this guy is a stud. He is on his way, I think, to get the Norris this year. The guy's
I agree.
unbelievable.
25 minutes a game averaging.
Yeah.
Yep.
Game winners. Just a great skater, puck possession, smart, not a dirty player, but gets in there if need be.
Yep.
I just can't believe Nashville. It's a crazy story. Good thing about that is, though, when Nashville's in the playoffs, they're barn rocks. It's a great atmosphere, right? They're really fun to watch, right?
Yep.
So crazy. You know what's really interesting is the Pacific Division, the Anaheim Ducks and the Los Angeles Kings holding to 2 and 3. Who saw that? Who saw the Ducks?
Sharks at 4 too.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. You actually were singing their praise in the preseason about how young they were, and Drysdale and Zegras.
Yeah.
And then that, but we didn't think. At least I didn't think that this was going to be the year. We thought it was going to be 2 or 3 years away. But
right,
they're really surprising this year.
Right, they're 3 points away from Vegas right now for top spot in the Pacific. You got the LA Kings at 45 points. San Jose Sharks 44. They're just knocking on the door to get in there. Then you have the Minnesota Wild. I think we both thought the Wild were gonna have a decent year this year. They made the playoffs last year. Kaprizov hasn't missed a beat. Dean Evison has that team there. That coach is intense, man. He's got his players believing.
Yeah, for sure. They you look at them. They've only played 36 games because they've had a lot of game postponed. They've got 4 games in hand on the Blues, and they're only 4 points out of that second spot.
Right.
So they're playing. They've only lost 10 regular season games out of the 36. The Wild actually surprised me because I didn't think they'd have a good year.
Oh, really?
I thought getting rid of the veterans with Suter and Parise, I thought they'd need that leadership, but Kaprizov he's that guy's a rising star. He's good. Yep.
Yeah. Puck finds him, and he's always in the right area.
Yeah.
Colorado Avalanche. If I'm going to Vegas right now, they are not winning the Stanley Cup. They have no goaltending unless they address that, right? And I think they're too offensive minded, and even in the back end, I think too many guys like Cal McCarr, great defenseman, going for the Norris. Gerard's smaller and type, but offensive. Johnson, I don't know. I'm not sold on the Avalanche. Kadri having a great year.
Yeah, Kadri's had an unbelievable year, leading the team in scoring and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree with you. They're too offensive heavy to win in the playoffs. Too much.
And no goaltending.
No goaltending.
Right.
Well, they let Grubauer walk. I'm not saying he would have been the answer, but he played well for them last year, and they just let him go.
Yeah, I heard the other day with Grubauer that they were playing cat and mouse on free agency that day, and they lost, and so they had to overpay for Kemper. So that was just
And now they're
right.
really overpaying.
Exactly, exactly. Disappointments, dogs in the West. Man, there's a
There's a lot of
shitstorm
them.
happening in Edmonton, buddy. There is
Yep.
a shitstorm happening there, man.
Yep. Yeah, but the way they started and all the enthusiasm they had going there and what's happened the last little while, it's yeah, so somebody tweeted out today that had me laughing this morning and said there's the forecast today is Edmonton. In Edmonton, they're expecting about 10 inches of Oilers jerseys tonight.
Beauty, I love it. I love it. You know what? You know what the best is? We got the tipster. When the tipster's on, whatever. He's such a Mike Smith fan. But like this goaltending in Edmonton is just atrocious. Like,
Yeah.
you want to say Smitty to be the backup, fine, but I wouldn't even go to him anymore as a backup. Like Ken Holland is the guy to blame for this. I really did. Like, you can blame Tippett all you want, whatnot, right? But we've been harping on this on the Hockey Lounge for a lot of our shows. Will Connor McDavid go down as the best offensive player ever to play the hockey game, but not even come close to a sniff of a Stanley Cup? And right now, the way I look at it is his team is not built to win. They're soft on the back end. Too many passengers. Too soft on the front end. No goaltending.
Bro, they might be the best duo never to come close to a cup.
Right.
With him and Draisaitl, because like you look at their offensive stats, they're there. They're 11th in goals for. They're averaging over almost 3.25 goals a game.
Right.
But they ain't winning. And it goes to your point. Like what we've said it probably about 150 times on this show of how important a goaltender is.
Yeah.
That if you don't have the goalie, that's where it all starts. And the Penguins are having a fantastic year because Jari's playing fantastic. These guys are having a shit year because their goaltender's playing shit.
Right.
If you don't have a goaltender, like why these teams do not like the Flyers, even Carter Hart's not having a good year.
Yeah.
Perennial teams like the Leafs who never had a good goalie, although Campbell's playing well this year.
Yeah.
The Oilers, like go out and get a goalie.
Yeah.
Even if you draft one and you don't think that there's any value of any of the goalies that are in the league right now, you got to at some point shore up that position.
But if you talk about the combos of Draisaitl and McDavid, you go back to Crosby, Malkin, you go back to Taves, Taves and Kane. Taves and Kane. Even you can go back to Kopitar and Dustin Brown, or Kopitar and Doughty if you want to put those guys in the mix there, right?
Arnott and Elias.
Arnott and Elias. But you can, right? That's going a little way back. I guess that's why my beard's white. But if you go back to all those guys, what was the game changer for them? What's a game changer? The goaltending.
Yeah.
In LA, you had Quick.
Yeah.
Chicago, you had what's his name? Crawford. Crawford was in net. He took the reins, right? Of course, in New Jersey, you had Brodeur. Okay, like those are the difference makers. You need goaltending. You can have the studs up front, but if you don't have the goaltending, you're done. Like Marc-Andre Fleury, Hawks are not making the playoffs. We've been talking about this guy since September, right? Ken Holland, get on the phone.
Yeah.
Because Apple, I think that if this thing goes sideways, the Oilers don't make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make it. McDavid and Draisaitl, I'm telling you, man, one of them's going to say, I'm out of here. I'm done.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Be surprised at all.
So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And we'll get to some of the key NHL matchups tonight before we're done with the show today. The Winnipeg Jets. Never liked the team. Never a fan of it. Paul Maurice gone. Lowry behind the bench. Not sure what move that was about.
500 team, middle of the pack, done.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. There's nothing there.
Yeah. Back end, no name guys. Up front, I like Connor, Scheifele, but yeah, you know what? I just, they're not right out of it. They're 4 points out, but interesting to see. Then you got our buddy Bruce Boudreau. Love the Brucer with the Canucks. 40 points, 4 points out. Um, Actually, I like their chances more than the Oilers and more than the Jets to get in
Yeah,
there,
yeah, fair enough.
right?
Yeah, yep.
So, you know, but my disappointments up definitely Oilers, Jets, Flames, and Canucks. Flames are just there, 42 points, but you look at, and again, it goes back to this the North Division of last year, right?
Yep.
You come down to real hockey, we get back to the divisions, we get back to the wild card. You have four Canadian teams right now not in the playoffs.
Because he didn't really play competitive hockey compared to what you're playing this year last year. So your
Right,
expectations were different.
right.
You
You were
get
playing
used
at
to that, huh?
Sports
Yep.
Village, right?
Yep.
The hangar, you
Yep.
know. So, we talked about it last year and nobody wants to believe it, but that North Division was not good. It was smoke and mirrors. And now you're seeing when you're playing against some of the top dogs in the NHL and some of the medium teams, they're not even close. So, very, very interesting. We got dogs barking. We got cats. It sounds like a zoo over there. What's happening?
It's
Who's
not.
there?
Sully's not happy.
Sally's not happy. All right. So let's talk about some of the games tonight. Some of the things that I'm looking for today. There's one key matchup that's really, really on my schedule that definitely I'm going to be watching a little bit of because the Packers play at 8:15, so that won't be on the big TV, right? Okay. If they do lose tonight, the Packers, I expect a UFO to show up and pick up Aaron Rodgers. He does believe in UFOs. He does have the COVID toe. He is an interesting fella. But I'm looking at the Calgary Flames against the Edmonton Oilers up in Edmonton, Battle of Alberta. What happens here if Edmonton loses, man?
Oh, especially to Calgary. There's going to be a riot in Edmonton.
Big time.
I wouldn't be surprised that the way things are going, they're not going to let this go all year. If they lose tonight at home to these guys, I got a feeling tomorrow morning you're going to hear some press conferences.
Yeah.
I think somebody's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody knows the first guy to go is unfortunately the coach, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, there's been whispers. Mike Babcock, he's out there. I think they need to bring in a guy with cup experience for sure.
Yeah.
Tippett hasn't won a cup, so I think they need something there. I'm looking at also too the Leafs and Islanders tonight. How the Leafs bounce back from the Ranger loss. We talked about the Islanders app. They got to win. They got games in hand. They got to win.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game. I'd like to see that one. Well, I'm not going to see it because I'm going to be watching Devils game, but it is going to be an interesting game. Just as I'm more interested to see how the Islanders are playing now because they look like they're starting to come on. Mm-hmm. They've been playing better lately. I want to see against the Leafs are a quality regular season opponent. So I'm really interested to see that game, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And the last game of the night, which I'm going to keep an eye on too, is the Red Wings and Preds. Red Wings are at 42 points. They're just there, 6 points away from Boston. But Boston does have 4 games in hand right now on the Red Wings. But, great story out of Detroit. I think they're on their way up. Lucas Raymond, leading the league this year in rookie points. He looks like a stud. I like, again, Yzerman at the wheel. Now they hired Lidstrom as the VP of operations. You know where this franchise is going, bud.
Yeah.
You know where it's going.
Yeah.
It's going up, right?
You're right. And there's something to be said about bringing your old winning mentality players that played for you and that bleed that crest on the front of your jersey.
Right. And we talked about it. That's something New Jersey has to look into too as well. Yeah. You got to bring in the guys that have won the cups. You got to have pride in wearing that jersey, wearing that logo. So those are the 3 games we're looking at. I want to end the show today, though, App. It is big weekend in the NFL. Big weekend. We got some games starting at 4:30. So let's get into some of the odds here, and we'll get our picks for the divisional rounds starting at 4:30 here. We have the Cincinnati Bengals in Tennessee at 4:30. Tennessee is favored by 4. Favored by 4. And we'll talk about this next week on the lounge. Who are you taking up? We're talking about points here. We're talking about the points.
You got to piss me off, eh? Well, I'm taking the Titans because the Bengals shouldn't even be there.
Oh, all right. So you don't believe in Smokey Joe?
No, I just got a sour taste in my mouth after another bullshit call went against the Raiders last week.
Okay, but hold on. So are you going? You're going with your heart here then? More. Is this a heart pick?
No, to be honest with you, I think getting Derrick Henry back for the Titans is going to make a big difference for them. I don't think he's going to run like he usually does because he's been off for a while. But I think just him being in there is going to give Tannehill a little bit more time to throw the ball. I wasn't impressed with the Bengals last week. I think the Raiders went toe to toe with them and could have beat them, and the Raiders were missing a lot of good guys,
Yeah.
a lot of big players that week. Joe Burrow's a hell of a quarterback. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the Bengals are really an up and coming team, but I just think in Tennessee, I think the Titans are going to win this one, and I think they'll cover too.
Okay, so Ops got Tennessee. I'm taking Smokey Joe. I'm taking the Bengals. I'm not a believer of Tannehill at all. I think he's not a big game guy. You look at Smokey Joe, he wins big games, man. This guy's the real deal. Knows how to win, right? Okay, so I'm taking the Bengals. A little of the Iggy shuffle, right?
Yeah.
I want to see. I'm gonna get. Hey, listen, if I get this right next week on the Hockey Lounge, Ops gonna do the Iggy shuffle. All right, we're gonna bring it back to old school.
I doubt that's going to happen, but okay.
All right, my beloved Packers, 8:15. Okay, in the tundra, right? Green and yellow. Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy G. Two good coaches, two young good coaches, right? Going at it. We got the Packers at -5.
I think the Packers will win, but the Niners will cover. I think this is going to be a close, low-scoring game. I like both defenses. I'm picking 24-20 Packers.
Okay, 24-20 Packers, but you're taking the Niners to cover the spread, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you got Niners to cover the spread. Score for the Packers, 24-20. That's tonight action. Let's talk about tomorrow. Okay? Tomorrow we got the Rams and the Bucks. 3:00 start. Rams are in Tampa Bay against Super Bowl Brady. Okay? I think Sully's taking the Buccaneers on that
No,
one.
the problem is you said Brady, and we know
Okay.
what happened when Brady was New England against the Raiders. Another bullshit call. You can't say that name in my house. That's the problem.
Was that the tuck? Is that the tuck
Yeah,
play?
that's the tuck rule. Yeah, the fuck
Yeah.
rule. Yeah.
Tuck rule. LA Rams in Tampa Bay. We have the Bucks favored by -3. 3 points here. What do you think?
Well, I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. That's my prediction. So I think the Rams are winning this game.
Wow. He is calling it right now. Rams to win the Super Bowl. Unbelievable.
I like the Rams team. I really do. I've liked them all year.
But you like Stafford? Stafford's going to take them to the promised land?
It's everybody else. He's got a lot of he's not a bad quarterback. He had a lot of shit around him in Detroit.
100%. Like I've always liked him.
Yeah.
But he was playing for the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, and you got when OBJ is your second choice, your second option. I think the Rams, even on defense, with adding Von Miller and Jalen Ramsey and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I think the Rams are a pretty deep, solid team.
Yeah.
I think the Rams are. I think the Rams will win tomorrow by touchdown.
Okay. So Rams, you're taking the Rams, and Tampa Bay is favored by 3. So you're taking the Rams.
Yeah.
All right. And then we got big game here. We have the Bills, part 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, the Bills looked impressive last week. I picked the Bills to beat the Patriots because I think the Pats they're winding up again, but I didn't think they'd be a match for the Bills, which the Bills showed that.
Yeah.
Man, this is a tough one. You got the Chiefs at 1.5, favored by 1.5.
This is going to be a track meet. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. But I think Kansas City is going to win this game by a field goal. I think the experience of them going all the way a couple of years ago is going to help them out in this one.
Interesting.
I think it's going to be a very, very interesting game.
You know what? I'm going to give my picks here for the Rams and Bucks. I'm not going to go against Brady. I will not go against Brady. I think home field advantage. This guy knows how to win. It could be his last run, maybe, right? I can't see this guy losing in a divisional round. I just don't see it. This guy has been pulling rabbits out of his hat here the last couple of years, man. And I'm going with 12 and the Bucks on that one. In terms of the Buffalo Bills and KC Chiefs, you know what? I feel sorry if you're a Bills fan because you have a good team, but now you got to face KC back to back, right? It's like they get to finally that point where they can start enjoying some playoff success, and then you got Patty Mahomes right away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I'm going to go with you. I think playoff experience, Andy Reid, Mahomes. Steelers last week, that was a joke, right? That was playing against a high school football team. But I like the Chiefs. So I'm going with the Bucks and the Chiefs. You already have the Super Bowl winner, right? Which is the LA Rams, which is interesting. But can't wait for the football tonight. App, any final thoughts here? It's good to be back. It's good to shoot the shit with you. It's been a blast today.
I'm actually looking forward to. I know it's my team and everything, but the way the Devils play with speed, and then that Carolina. We never really touched on Carolina on the show, but Carolina to me is a hell of a team.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be a very entertaining game tonight. I think it's going to be back and forth.
Right.
So that's just what I'm interested. We're in COVID lockdown. This is what we have to look forward to now.
So, well, hopefully soon we get out of that. But there's some big games in the NHL tonight. Oilers, Flames, Islanders, Leafs. Like you said, the Hurricanes, Devils. Hurricanes, Freddie Anderson having a great year. Vezina Trophy year. And then we got the football game starting in a half an hour. Everyone, thanks for watching the Hockey Lounge. We're glad to be back here. Again, we'll be back each week talking hockey, talking other sports. We're definitely keeping an eye on the NFL games, big games today, big games tomorrow. Again, have a great night. Enjoy all the hockey. Enjoy all the football. Stay safe. Stay warm. We'll see you next time on the Hockey Lounge.